This garbage organization once again is having problems from within. They can't even sign their own prospects. Let's talk about it.
You're Locked On Coyotes, your daily podcast on the Arizona Coyotes, part of the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day.
Welcome to the show, everybody. This is Locked On Coyotes. Today's episode brought to you by Game Time. Download the Game Time app and create an account and use the code LOCKEDONNHL for $20 off your first purchase. I am Robyn Leonio. That is Matthew Jacobson right beside me on this wonderful episode, on this wonderful Thursday, as we talk a lot more about Arizona Coyotes hockey, because guess what, Matthew? The Coyotes just can't sign their darn prospects.
Nope, they all want to leave and the sky is falling. All right, let's actually get into the topic, because I can only put the doom and gloom on for so long. It's just enough to hook you, but not enough to sustain a event sesh, unless we're talking about an arena. But what I want to talk about here a little bit is we have the opportunity to catch up a bit. So this offseason alone, Ronald Knott was signed over from the European League, Tucson Roadrunner all year. He's going back to the Euro League. But Mannix Landry, a draft pick, signed a 2-year contract overseas. John Farinacci elected to not sign with the Coyotes, and now that is more common because Harvard, but it's still a prospect that wouldn't sign. Logan Cooley, who was leaning towards going pro, goes back to college. I think Sam Lipkin also decided to go back to Quinnipiac for another year, and I'm forgetting one more name, and I guarantee it's one of the most recent ones. Lilleberg. Ends up, they did not maintain his rights, and he's signing with Tampa Bay. And it made me have to ask, is this something that is Coyotes specific? Or is it kind of like it happens, it is what it is, a little bit of both? You know what? Robyn's a logical one. Let's go ahead and hear what she has to say.
Look, this is something that we see happen around the National Hockey League all the time. It happens much rarer and with top prospects, and that's when you sound the alarm. Did it happen to Coyotes a couple times over?
Blake Wheeler.
Yep, exactly. But that's it's otherwise it's pretty darn rare for like a first round prospect, or like a lottery pick to do that. The other picks, like late second round or any later round picks, this happens all the time. It's just that maybe a team just doesn't give them the offer. They just didn't get to the development. They just don't have a spot, or just maybe just the player just isn't interested at the time. It just happens.
Yeah, I mean, current ASU player Robert Mastro-Simone, it was pretty covered that the Detroit Red Wings weren't going to offer him a contract, despite the fact he was coming off of a really good season at ASU, and essentially, the door's open for him to go back to ASU. Coach Powers already talked about that in an interview with Craig Morgan. What's probably happening right now is you wait until free agency opens and see what kind of offers you like. Similar concept for John Farinacci. You're already that close to free agency. You might as well test the waters and go exactly where you want to be. For a guy like Lilleberg, I hadn't really heard too much about him. The Coyotes chose to let his rights lapse. That was literally an organization choice. Now, he also could have said, yeah, I don't want to sign with you, which if someone says that, of course, they're going to let their rights go. Like, well, we can't get anything for you anyway. We'll just go ahead and make this easy. But it's also a lot of the times, you don't really fit our scheme anymore. You're not really coming along. You're a late round pick. We're going to just kind of let you go do what you want to do. Mannix Landry bothered me a little bit. Farinacci, I'm still a little upset, but that's also logical with the Harvard thing. You're not going to get many kids leaving early. But with Mannix Landry, he's more of a bottom six, center, bottom six forward that I think my friend Kyle said it pretty well, where it's like he's kind of, you can mold him into anything. Yet, as Craig Morgan rightfully pointed out, he didn't really do much to justify a contract. So hopefully going overseas helps him kind of adjust his game, and he does eventually get an NHL contract somewhere else. But with most of this, it kind of comes down to, well, both Quinnipiac has the opportunity to back-to-back. So Sam Lipkin going back makes a lot of sense. Logan Cooley has the opportunity to compete for a national championship. Plus, you have the arena stuff, which did play a factor. He can go just play hockey, focus on his fundamentals, focus on his game. Probably the best decision for him moving forward. So it's like those are two cases where it's like, yeah, that could be a little bit on the organization, a little bit not. The others, while it's a little like frustrating in concept that you're not signing more of your guys, if you don't see them as part of your future plan, you would be wasting not only the contract slot, but also whatever cap hit's going towards them.
I think especially, because you have a certain amount of contracts you can sign, you can have in play on a given year. I think it's 50.
Yeah, I think it's 50, and then the AHL can sign whatever the heck they want.
Yeah, but those are AHL contracts, which are very different than NHL contracts.
Mm-hmm.
If you're signing a team, for example, if you are signing a contract with the Tucson Roadrunners specifically, you are not going to go up to the Arizona Coyotes. You are there to play for the Tucson Roadrunners.
And also, literally any NHL team can still sign you because you don't have an NHL contract, so you're still an NHL free agent.
Yeah, which is interesting because like I was thinking about I was thinking the other day about how the just like other NHL or other prospect loans to AHL teams and everything it made me think about what about the ones that don't have a team that kind of are just floating around but still get signed. So that definitely happens. But yeah, the 50 contract limit, like, yeah, it should make sense. And especially because a lot of these picks, a lot of these, prospects were John Chayka era picks, right? So
I think Mannix was the first year. Was Mannix the first year with Bill, or was that weird year where Sullivan literally got himself fired?
I think that might have been that year because Bill's only had
2021, 2, and now 3. So upcoming 3 drafts. Farinacci was a Chaika pick. Mannix, I don't remember, so I'm just gonna say he was the Sullivan pick. I'm pretty sure Lilleberg was an Armstrong pick in the first year, but I think he was like a 7th or 6th rounder.
Mannix Landry was drafted. Let's see what year he was drafted. In 21. So yeah, he was one of the first picks by Armstrong. But that's why I said most, because there's still other ones, right?
Mm-hmm.
Most of them are Chayka picks. So when you look at it that way, it's like, okay, right? Because the John Chayka style of play and like this style of drafting and the way and the kind of team you wanted to put together is vastly different than the Armstrong version. So why sign a player that was drafted based off of quote analytics and just like different kinds of underlying skill rather than the bigger beefier guys that or whatever that Armstrong wants.
And we could certainly explore that question a little bit after we pay the bills. We got to tell you about a fantastic sponsor today, and that is Game Time. Buying tickets to your favorite events shouldn't be stressful. Game Time is a fast and easy way to buy tickets for all sports, music, comedy, and theaters near you. With killer deals on last-minute tickets, their best price guarantee, you can stop stressing over tickets and start getting hyped for the fun you'll have. I mean, look, I need to finally check out a Phoenix Rising game. So I'll have to look around and see if maybe they're available on Game Time, but also if I want to check out even a Mercury game or any other local game, I'm probably going to have to go ahead and check out Game Time first because I like cheap tickets. But snag tickets without the stress with Game Time. Download the Game Time app, create an account, and use the code LOCKEDONNHL for $20 off your first purchase. Terms apply, but again, create an account, redeem code LOCKEDONNHL for $20 off. Download Game Time today. Last-minute tickets, lowest price, guaranteed. I can also guarantee I will constantly be on the wrong line, but you won't know that.
So let's continue this episode of Locked On Coyotes. I do want to thank everyone, though, once again for listening to this show and for tuning in, making this your first listen. We are free and available everywhere you get your podcast, including on YouTube. And now you can find us on SiriusXM. Just download the SXM app and just search up Locked On Coyotes. But let's keep talking more about these prospects choosing not to sign, and other elements of why it's not time to sound the alarm, because hey, it's normal.
Yeah, and also, so for Farinacci, we already talked about the whole Harvard thing. I'm just gonna say this right now: if Bill Armstrong ever picks a guy that's committed to Harvard, I'm gonna slap him. Not actually, because he's a very tall and intimidating, kind of beautiful man. But just side note, don't ever draft from Harvard. Just
It's
let
funny
him play out.
because I remember a few years back, the Coyotes, or maybe was it a Coyote? Yeah, it was technically Coyotes. It was Coyotes Roadrunners. He was playing for the Roadrunners, but there was a Harvard goaltender, and I got a chance to interview a couple times. Very nice guy, Merrick Madsen. I think the reason why I remember him very much so is because he had a really good Twitter It was the Miracle on Ice.
That's good. That's better than the AZ sports guy, the AS guy. But so don't ever draft from Harvard.
But
TLDR.
But the Farinacci one, yeah, it kind of hurt because you saw how good he was in the World Junior Championship a few years ago, and it's funny because I think about that. I kind of had to think about when that name got brought up, and he said he wasn't going to sign with the Coyotes. It made me think about the very first episode the very first couple of episodes I did here on Host of Locked On Coyotes in January, like literally right after the new year in 21, and Farinacci was going on a tear for Team USA, and I just was literally spending a couple episodes just talking about him, and I'm like, can't wait for this guy to sign with the Coyotes, and well, here we are now talking about him not doing that, but hey, you know what? Again, it happens.
And also, I mean, look, cross your fingers. If no one else gives an attractive offer, that's still a really solid middle six, bottom six guy to throw on. Because I feel a little not betrayed is not the correct word. I do not have any negative feelings towards him. I hope he makes it to the NHL. But like I'm following along with Harvard's Twitter. I'm cheering for Harvard when he's playing. And as an ASU fan, that feels weird to do now that I'm into college hockey a little bit. So it's like, I feel a little perturbed by that, but you also got to make the best decision for you. With guys like Mannix, even though, again, I like him, if you're not going to, or even Lilleberg, if you're not showing the organization enough, like it makes a lot of sense where, okay, cut your losses and focus on other players because you can make bad picks. You can make picks that are like, hey, we see this upside, but they didn't achieve that. They didn't continue going down that path. So for like Lilleberg, that was more of I didn't even realize I didn't qualify him until I saw that announcement.
Let us also remember that the 2021 draft was the most foggy anyone has ever had to deal with. Mm-hmm. Like, because of the COVID shortened season, there was not enough scouting data. So like some scouts might have said, "Ooh, this player's got great potential," based off of 15 games played. And all of a sudden it becomes a bust because you realize, can't play out a full 76 game season or whatever it is in college or juniors or major juniors or whatever it is.
Yeah, so that was a weird year, and we're gonna see some very weird things continue to come out of that draft class. So it does kind of make sense, and that if there were going to be some players like that, it'd be probably from that year. So the only reason I wanted to bring this up today is because the Logan Cooley thing, which we already talked about, TLDR, go just focus on the hockey. He'll be here. He'll be fine. He will eventually play for this team. That's not a concern. It's just the distraction. Lipkin bummed me out, but also understandable. Farinacci annoyed me, but also understandable. Everything else is like, okay, well, they didn't really show the organization enough. But because there was just enough players that didn't sign, I thought it'd be interesting to talk about. Because why not explore this? Because fear-mongering for clicks is great. That's what we do here. That's your locked on guarantees. We will get your attention and also try to make a decent discussion out of it because it's very standard practice. But it felt a little different, and I can also understand why you're going to have people that might be sounding the alarms, even if it's a little silently, because, Cooley wouldn't sign. And then you get a couple extra guys. Oh, well, he could have been this. Tampa Bay saw value in Lilleberg. It's like, yeah, and Lilleberg could be a good player. Could just be a guy for the AHL. Could be a guy that never develops at a higher level. We don't know.
And
Quite
again,
frankly, at this
these
point.
are later round picks. It's very rare that these later round picks end up becoming like, superstars. And again, there are like I said, I say rare. I'm not saying it never happens because you have those, diamond in the rough 7th round picks that all of a sudden become.
Your Pebble Datsukes.
I was gonna say also yeah, does Pavel Datsyuk. I think there's a couple even in the current era. That
even just Coyotes, you have Michelli in the 4th, Garland in the 5th. Like, you can get good players. Or was it Kucherov? That was like a 2nd or 3rd round pick. Like, you have to hit in all the rounds.
One of my favorite players is throughout my later childhood, Joe Pavelski. He was a 7th round pick.
That's a good one. Oh,
he's a 7th round pick, and look where he's at. Like, so it happens, yes. But what the point I'm getting at is that the chance of those players that were the players that we were talking about on these prospects becoming the next Datsyuk or the next Pavelski, the next Michelli or Garland or whatever, it's extremely low.
Mm-hmm. It is. Like the fact that we can name them. It's kind of like with shark bites. I don't know if you ever knew this or interested in sharks and stuff like that. The reason why shark bites and shark killings make the news is because they are so infrequent. They are newsworthy. Same thing with this concept. Like, yes, good teams, great teams hit in the later rounds, hit pretty consistently, but you're not going to get a Pavelski or Datsuk in the 7th, 6th round every single year, or even every 3 or 4 years. They are diamonds in the rough.
Yeah, and it's just somehow something happens, you have that, let's say that 7th round pick goes and plays college for all 4 years and just comes out a champion, plays for a championship team under a great coach who can kind of help them develop to get to the point when they're able to become that superstar. So it's not necessarily that they're diamond in the rough. It's just at the time there wasn't enough data, and all of a sudden they got better coaching and kind of develop under less of a microscope than everybody else. Which again, that happens. But I'm kind of deviating from my point again. But again, I'll just continue to have that point. But I feel like I don't want to keep dragging this one on, but I want to say maybe anything else you want to say about this before we move on to our next topic in a little bit.
Hopefully, if anyone that's watching this that actually had that fear that this is going to be some big overarching thing, if you see it continue, let's say that the arena does get built, in 3 years or whatever, if you see it continue and it starts to be more like 3rd, 2nd round picks, then we can have the conversation. If Cooley says, I will not play here, then we can have that conversation. If Geeky's like, I want nothing to do with it, then we can talk. But while it might feel a little different, while we're all on edge, I get it. Standard operating procedure, and these things happen.
Yeah, one thing I will say as the thing we could potentially look forward to is, at this time there is no official signing, but an offer is out there. Jeremy Langlois could very well become the next signee pretty soon, and he just came off winning a Memorial Cup.
And I'm cheering for a guy playing for Quebec. That boils my blood, but man. Langlois is a pick that I thought nothing of. I didn't have an opinion. I didn't have enough information, and I'm like, this kid's good. I'm going to keep a very close eye on him for rookie camp and development camp. I really want to see how he looks.
I will say this: think about how cool it is to think that even the Memorial Cup's now gone, come and gone, but that the Memorial Cup was Jeremy Langlois' team and Dylan Gunther's team. Like,
no matter what, a Coyote was going to be champion.
Yep, exactly.
I love it because, like, again, and Donor said it very well. We do have to get into Bird Dogs in a second, but Donor said it very well. Build from within, talking about Tucson, but these kids competing at high levels in juniors is going to help them learn to be winners at the NHL level.
100%. Well, we're going to wrap things up with this show. Matthew's mad about something. I'm going to let him get it off his chest in a little bit. But first, we're going to take a quick word from our sponsors on the show. And today's episode is brought to you by Bird Dogs. Are you tired of sacrificing comfort for style when it comes to your activewear? Introducing Bird Dogs, the game-changing athletic shorts. Picture this: premium shorts designed for maximum performance combined with unparalleled comfort. Bird Dogs are here to revolutionize your workout routine. With a uniquely built-in liner, these shorts offer the ultimate support and flexibility, ensuring you stay comfortable even the most intense workouts. These shorts are versatile enough to also take you from the gym to the street without skipping a beat, and they're made with premium breathable fabric that keep you cool and dry throughout your activities. Perfect for the trails, the gym, or simply just lounging around. Bird Dogs, the shorts you've been searching for. So order your pair of Bird Dogs and join the thousands of satisfied customers who have made the switch. Visit birddogs.com/LockedOnNHL and enter the promo code LockedOnNHL to get a free custom Bird Dog style Yeti tumbler with every order. Bird Dogs, where style meets comfort and performance meets perfection. Get yours now and unleash your true potential. All right, Matt. I know you're mad about something. You need to get something off your chest.
Yep.
Let's close off this episode by letting you vent.
Let me get on my soapbox here. So, one thing that I thought was really dumb was when I think it was the ASU women's team like 3 years ago was like they showed up to a game. I think they were cheering for the Wild. Like it was just they all showed up like rooting for the opposing team. And I'm like, that's kind of dumb. You guys play for ASU, but imagine the tone deafness. And yes, I am going to be petty here. I'm going to be very petty. All right. As someone who's been to more Mercury games than anyone watching this combined, all of you, everyone watching this episode right now combined, you have not been to more Mercury games than I have. All right. Sophie Cunningham is my favorite player on the team. They put out a tweet tonight. Diana Taurasi, I hate when she keeps doing this because it led directly to them losing the finals a couple of years ago because she just kept with this stupid quarterback full court pass. Hate it. But pulls it off. It's a good play. And they tweet out the highlight with, Diana Taurasi looking like QB1. And they at Patrick Mahomes. All right. The dude that is trying to steal my hockey team. They didn't at MV Powell, Drew Powell, back-to-back MVP for your indoor football league team, the Arizona Rattlers. They didn't at him. They didn't at K1, who is the quarterback for the Cardinals. They literally added the dude that publicly wants to steal my team. Like, I'm not going to lie here. I hope you guys don't win another game the rest of the season. What the hell are you doing? I don't care where the All-Star game is. I don't care what the context is. You don't at the dude that wants to take my team instead of one of our quarterbacks. At K1, what the hell are you doing?
Yeah, no, it's interesting when you think of what social media admins do, and they make and what goes or with the process that goes in a decision making like that. Look, and fine, like you said, depends on where the All-Star game is and all stuff like that. Sure, but if you are, I'm a firm believer of this, that if you are a admin of a local team, kind of support the other local teams.
You can see the D-backs crossover with ASU right here. I have a Jake Lamb bobblehead wearing a Coyotes jersey. There is a Fitz bobblehead with a Coyotes jersey. Collab with your own damn teams.
What's the hashtag that was going around? I think for a little bit. Hashtag all AZ.
Yeah, that was like 2018, 2020, wasn't it? It was like right in that. Like, all AZ. It's like, yeah, all AZ. Until we're talking about I hate the Cardinals. I'm a Cardinals fan because I'm a local boy. I cheer for all of our teams, Mercury included, even though I'm mad at you right now. All right, but you support your local teams through it all. Do not care about the context. I would rather you at the starting quarterback for U of A over adding the dude that wants to take my hockey team. And Robyn knows I despise U of A. All right? I despise them. And the only reason I don't make fun of Bear Down anymore because now I feel like a jerk because I know the origin.
Yeah, I told a friend about that, and they're like, yeah, they were actually no, I don't feel bad, but I mean, I forgot what exactly what they like. They feel bad, but they're still gonna make fun of it or something like that. Like, I'm like, oh, yeah, fair. You're an ASU student, so I kind of expect that from you.
No pity for the
But
kitty though.
sure, sure. But yes, support your local teams. It just makes sense.
I'm annoyed. I don't care the context. I don't look. If Patrick Mahomes never opened his mouth to be like, "Oh, we'll take the Kansas City Coyotes," sounds good. If he never said that, this isn't a conversation. But it's personal now. All right, it is personal. Delete. I demand an apology, or we're gonna cancel you. We're gonna make sure you never tweet again.
Heck, even if it was like a QB1 from another team, like
There are
I would have been
32 of them in the NFL.
yeah. Would it still have been upsetting? Yes, but would have been less upsetting because you didn't add it because you wouldn't have added the quarterback of who literally said Kansas City Coyotes. Like
I can throw jabs. I can be petty, because obviously like the Mercury are one of the more like successful teams in the Valley, but like even the Coyotes at their worst, when they were averaging 11,000 fans the last year in Glendale, get more pull than the Mercury here, like attendance wise. Like, the hell are you guys doing? That's my shot. That's my little shot. I'll repent by buying a Sophie Cunningham jersey eventually, but that's my shot.
awesome. Any final thoughts you want to do either on that or anything else that we talked about today before we close things off?
Delete the damn tweet at anybody else, at Jared Goff, for all I care. We ain't talking about Patrick Mahomes in this household anymore. Gosh darn it!
You're preaching. You're preaching right there.
I'm on my soapbox.
That's going to be it for today's episode of the Locked On Coyotes podcast. If you like what you heard, don't forget to leave a review, like, comment, subscribe if you have yet to already. We're available everywhere you get your podcasts, including on YouTube and the SiriusXM radio app. Don't forget to interact with us on social media. We're on Facebook, facebook.com/LockedOnCoyotes, and on Twitter at LO_Coyotes. I'm personally at Robyn_Leano. Matthew Jacobson is at the Easy Sports Guy. Interact with us, ask a question you might have. We might answer right back or on a future episode of the Locked On Coyotes podcast. Thanks again, everyone, for listening to today's episode. Hope you guys are staying safe out there. Hope you guys are staying healthy. And don't forget to howl on.